Initially, when I was writing out what I wanted to talk about, I wrote the title, Take Notes Like a Harvard Student, but there wasn't enough space to write out the word student, so now my title just says, Take Notes Like a Harvard Stud. So we are taking notes like Harvard studs today. Now, I was asking you guys what questions you might have for me, academic related, and one girl asked me a question, and I would like to answer that question right here. Can you talk about efficient note-taking? Can I ever? Let's begin. First things first, I chose to do handwritten notes over laptop notes like 95% of the time. Now you might be asking yourself, yes or no? Handwritten, like, excuse me, what century is this, the 1800s? Who are you, Jane Austen? No. One thing I do know is that when you handwrite your notes, you are more likely to retain the information that you write. So choosing to take your notes by hand might save you more time in the long run when you're studying that information later on. Now, I will give laptops their due, right? Because there are certain things that are awesome about laptops that, like, the notes won't do. For example, it's usually faster to type on a keyboard than it is to take notes. And also, when you take notes on a laptop, you can store them to like an online cloud, which can be useful if you leave your notes at home, but which can also not be useful if your laptop runs out of power or there's a power outage. So I'm like, pick your poison. Another thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna figure out a system of word shortenings that you can do so that you can take notes faster. One thing that I did when I was in school is I would always shorten the word people to PPL. It's not fancy, but it works, right? And if you're like in a class that maybe talks about government a lot, you can shorten the word government to GOVT, or you can shorten the word president to prez with a Z. It's gonna make life a lot easier for you when you're in class trying to take notes quickly. That's the gospel truth. Okay, Hercules. Another thing to remember when taking notes is that it's good to recognize when your professor is repeating a concept you already talked about 20 minutes previous. You don't need to rewrite that information if you've already taken notes on it. We're not parrots. Our job is not to repeat. Our job is to take the note once, efficiently, commit it to memory, and then regurgitate it again when we need it later. We're kind of like mother birds. We're kind of like mother birds. We just eat the information, regurgitate it, and feed our offspring. NBD. Okay, next tip. If slides are provided and you're able to copy down every piece of information before your professor flips to the next slide, then take notes on every piece of information in that slide. Woo, getting passionate about this. The basic reasoning behind this is, hey, when you write something, it's easier to retain it. Now, if your professor is providing you with too much information on the slides and you're not able to take notes on everything before he or she or it flips to the next one, then I would recommend a different approach. I would recommend only taking notes on the main bullet points and on things that are inherently not obvious to you. But hey, sometimes your professor just flies completely off the handlebars and doesn't provide you with slides or notes at all. The way I would handle this is I would start by writing down the main overarching theme, and you usually know what this theme is because your professor says, today we're talking about, and then after that you want to keep your ears peeled for whenever your professor re-references something over and over and over again and it seems like a main subject. That's going to be one of your subtopics that you write down. And then anything related to that subtopic that's like particularly nuanced and difficult to remember, you want to write those facts down. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. When in doubt, write it out. I don't have any more rhymes, but I do have one more hard and fast rule, and that is whenever your professor writes something on the board or says, this will be on the test, write those things down. Oh my gosh, what's this thing that I just wrote on my hand? What? How did that get there? Not with the Sharpie that I just used. Okay, so this is part of my notes for this section, which is how to format what you're writing about. And this is the way I did it for all 4 years of college. My biggest topics would always be in rectangles. My second largest topics would always be underlined, then main points would be bulleted, and any like sub-bullet points would have a little arrow. I would suggest to you to get a great format that you use and then use it in every class. Okay. And this is the last piece of information. Woo! When you're taking notes, have fun with them. Get creative. Draw some pictures. The more unique you make a page, the more it's gonna stick in your memory and you'll be able to recall what's on it when you're studying. You'll be like, I remember that equation. It was right in the dinosaur belly that I drew. What? All right, that's it. I'm Yes or No. I hope you are taking notes. I'll end it by saying, if you guys have an academically related question, feel free to pop it down in the comment section below. If you want to go stalk me on Insta, you can do so at Yes for No. And if you want to support me financially, which is always appreciated, you can do so on my Patreon. I'll catch you on the flip side, home skillet. Peace.